Marriage Broker Auntie presents Behind the Scenes. This is an audio series documenting the lives of happily married couples who've committed to spending their every day building healthy relationships. Growing up, we've listened to countless stories that end with meeting your soulmate, getting married, and living happily ever after. But is that all to relationships? We're here to find out more. We hope to unravel marriage through stories of real relationships. I'm your host Priyanka Bharadwaj, founder and CEO of Marriage Broker Auntie, which is a matrimonial advisory and relationship coaching service. What you're about to hear is an unscripted conversation with a couple who've graciously come forward to share their relationship story.
I'm Ramya and I'm 30 years old. I'm a lawyer. This is my husband and we've been together a very long time, and I'm a mom to a 2.5-year-old daughter, Ahalya. We live in Bangalore and I work in some quite interesting policy related work. And in my free time, I'm always doing something creative. I love to travel. I love to cook. I love art. I love to write.
I'm Yajas. I'm also 30. I am also a lawyer. I'm a corporate lawyer working with a firm and dad to the same 2.5-year-old. So I like to garden, and I spend most of my free time with my daughter, and between work, daughter, and family. I think that's my life right there. So.
In today's episode of Behind the Scenes, we have Ramya and Yajas. Ramya and Yajas met at law school tutorials in 2007 when they were just teenagers. Today, they're barely 30, but they've already been together half their life. From young love to making life-changing career decisions to support their love, they've adulted hand in hand. Today, they've been married for nearly 7 years and they're wonderful parents to a very active 2.5-year-old Ahalya. How long have you guys been married?
7 years.
Almost 7 years in July.
Wow. And how long have you been together before, all together?
This year we'll have been together 14 years in October. So 13 and a half years.
Yeah, almost.
And how did you guys meet?
We went to this law school tutorial class. It was very cliche and ridiculous because I'm a person who takes notes and I'm very serious and type A. And he would come late.
I was not. I was there to socialize. I had been told that there are lots of hot girls that come here. I was still in 11th grade. So entrance exams are a long way away.
So yeah, he'd come and sit next to me, and then he asked me for my number, and then he started walking me home from this tuition, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
And how did that go from, just dating when you were young to deciding that you guys want to spend the rest of your lives together?
I just think it was very natural and organic, the progression. This is a key point in our relationship. It was not only not hampered by our parents, but encouraged. From like the very get-go when we were 18, 19, when we would be hanging out in each other's house all the time. And like, unlike all our friends who had to hide their boyfriends and meet them, like, we would just, so I think it was just much more relaxed for us to spend time together. I think we just kind of knew,
So yeah, there were like, for example, there were a few moments or instances in the relationship that made it overnight it became suddenly, subconsciously very serious. And I think, like, for example, our college entrance exams, for example, were some of it, right? When she wrote CLAT and then had to decide, am I going to go to Rajasthan to study, or am I going to stay in Bangalore?
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons to stay in Bangalore was our relationship. Similarly, then the year after that, I had to decide whether to go to Pune or stay in Bangalore, and I decided, okay, I'm not going to go to Pune.
So even though it was early days, it was, I don't know, like some sort of inkling. And again, like, I feel neither of our parents, they also knew we were dating, and they never said, even though we were just 18 years old, they never said, what are you doing? Why aren't you going to this law school? Why are you sitting here? Because they knew I mean, somewhat that met a part of the reason very much was being with each other. The underlying theme of our relationship, and maybe both of us realized it, and so did our parents. We are two people who are so much better together than we are separate.
And I think our parents saw
and
that.
I think we, like, maybe we couldn't articulate it when we were 18, like how we can articulate it now. But maybe our parents also realized, like, we really bring out the best in each other, which we are not capable of without each other. They're just very highly complementary. And this is something that people, like, even my father says, like, he says that we're the best team he's seen. We somehow, it just fits.
Yeah.
Actually, my father even said that after having seen Yajas and I, he says he's changed his thought process, which he had for 20 years. He always felt that college relationships were a distraction. But he says once he saw us, he realized that, and when he sees young people now, that you invest as much in your relationships that you do in your career, if not more. And he feels like, that a distractible relationship is only one kind, and he really has come to realize that relationships can be so motivating also.
Obviously, this is what you learned, like this is what you kind of discovered about each other initially that made you kind of, take the leap. But what about now? Like over the last, more than a decade now, what have you more recently discovered about each other that you really like about each other?
I like Yajas so much more than ever before after seeing him as a dad, because he's a one in a million dad. He is so amazing, and he has supported me in ways that I find hard to convey in words. And I think I always grew up with a dad who did everything. He was just like, there were no gender roles in my home, and there was no separation of sexes, ego, none of those things. So people would, say, oh, look at Yajas, he's so awesome. I was like, that's the bare minimum I expect. I had a granddad who cooked till he was 85, a father who took me bra shopping. So all this doesn't cut it. This because he made a sandwich, no. But I have to say, after being a parent and seeing many of my friends, women be parents, see the kind of support that their partners offer them. And like I just, he's rock solid. There are no gender roles in our relationship. And I just enjoy watching him be a parent. And also, I think, because for me, being a parent was something I desperately wanted, and I automatically assumed I would be excellent at it because I wanted it for so long. And where it did not come naturally to me, it came naturally to him. But he never made me feel lacking, and he's just been like a pillar of support.
I like to take care of people. I'm a doty, sort of that kind of person. She's not. She's not at all, right? And if I didn't have a parent like a co-parent like her, I would have probably raised a really big spoiled brat, because I would have, my daughter already has me wrapped around her finger, and because we know that right from the beginning, and we've known that for a while, we've made a real effort to make sure that it doesn't become good cop, bad cop, and I'm just like always giving in, and she's always like the firm person. Can't avoid it to some extent, but I think that we've tried our best. I've tried really to take some of that and really implement it, and I've seen huge benefits. Like, I've really seen the few times that I am firm, it really works wonders. So and this is completely contrary to the way I was raised, right? Like, my family was like, no, children are like plants, they grow completely by themselves, no bedtime, no structure, TV whenever you want, and she was the sort of that structure which she brought. And I work in a very, very corporate, in this sort of corporate bubble. I work in a firm that pays their lawyer. I'm a corporate lawyer, and we work in a firm that pays people very well. We deal with clients who get paid very well. We have my colleagues, my friends, everybody who is in this circle are like in the point whatever something %, right? And it's very easy to sort of, if you're in that bubble, to only see people around you and to lose yourself in that, and to just assume that this is the reality of the world.
Yeah.
It's like the tether, right, holding me down to be like, this is reality. Like, I feel very secure in knowing that if you really succeed and make a lot of money, that's not ever going to go to my head because I have her.
That's amazing, right? So, what has been your favorite memory till date as a couple?
Two very disparate ones that come to mind. One is like the moment our daughter was born. Like
Mhm.
that was the most profound, amazing, painful, but incredible moment. And he was like right there. Like that moment is so clear. And it was like, even though I did the giving birth, of course, he was
Yeah,
right next to me and he
right.
encouraged me. It was just such a special moment that after whatever 12 years together, we made this new person to be alone. uh, that was definitely one. And the
Yeah.
other, I think the other for me is definitely it will be out of all of our travel memories, but one that particularly stands out is when we went to Jordan in 2017, and we went to this desert called the Wadi Rum,
Hmm.
and it was lovely. I had never been to a desert before, and it's very picturesque and stark, and it's red sands and just vast nothingness wherever you look. And it was just incredible to experience together. Like both of us, we always say that was like the greatest day in our life, but we can't explain to you why, but we both felt it.
Yeah,
Got
and
it.
I mean, I think like all our memories would be travel memories, and I think that's always kept us saying that it was worth it, because the number of
Right.
hours that we spent talking about our trips after we've gone and come back,
Right.
nothing that we've nothing that we've ever bought has ever kept giving that much joy.
Obviously, everything sounds very happy and nice, but I'm sure you guys have your moments of insanity and like fights and things like that. What do you guys usually fight about?
We fight about the same few things. One is Yajas, like he mentioned to you earlier, he works really long, unpredictable hours.
Hmm.
These were difficult before becoming a parent. After becoming a parent, sometimes they're just impossible. And in the
Right.
pandemic, they really
Yeah.
test the of sanity.
Yeah.
So we speak about his work
Yeah.
because he is unable to shut off. He works regularly 16-hour days,
Wow.
90-hour weeks, and he gets like. And we both have a vision, which is not being so invested in our work because we both
Right.
believe there is a means to an end
Correct.
and not the end itself.
Yeah.
And so I one of our big fights is when he is unable to, do what he needs to do to put the boundaries in place to
Got it.
function efficiently. He's not able to communicate effectively, and I have very high expectation. If I had to just summarize it, like, and it's about various things. For me, like it's important to know, like for instance, about when are you going to come home,
Oh, yeah.
and he might not find the need to tell me when he's going to come home, or if he tells me, it will be with a 2.5 hour difference, and
Right.
that
Yeah.
really irritates me. And I'm just like, go ahead, tell me it's 12 o'clock, but tell me. And
I've never had to do that. I've never had to actually tell somebody, listen, I'm going to come there at 7:30.
Right. Right.
Work aside, right? In a personal
Yeah.
context, like
Yeah.
even at home growing up, I never
Yeah.
had to be like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be here at 7:30 means,
Yeah.
and he's very easygoing. He's like, why does it matter with 7:30?
yeah, and I don't get perturbed if she shows up
And,
half an hour
and
late, an
I'm
hour
like,
late.
no, I need to,
Uh,
yeah.
Especially when it's work involved, it becomes because I'm a very poor multitasker.
Right.
So if I'm doing work, I have to do work. If I have to also then be like, oh, I had told her I'll be and then again message her and say, 2 more hours.
And then,
I don't.
and then
I
it
really
just
get
keeps
bad.
adding up, and then I just get furious
Yeah, and
because
this
I feel
happens.
like,
It
whatever.
gets
Yeah.
but
And then I think the final thing that we fight about, it's not what we fight about, it's how we fight more. It's like
Right.
he's a bottler and he doesn't communicate effectively because in his house growing up nobody ever criticized anybody, and I don't mean that in jest, like I'm very
Yeah.
serious, like
Right.
criticism was not a thing in my house. Criticism was
it's
like
the way.
good morning.
It's the way of showing love. Right?
Yeah, like but to be fair, it wasn't like good morning you suck, it was like good morning whatever, you didn't do this, blah. So it like rolls off my back. It doesn't bother me at all. I think my So that's how I say things
Yeah.
many times. Like, you didn't
Yeah.
do this, or I'm not happy with this, or whatever. And it hurts him, I think, because he's still not used to it. And then
Yeah.
he's also a bottler, so he doesn't communicate any angst that he might have had in times leading up to that moment. And so then it all explodes at that moment.
So, how do you guys resolve these situations? Do you try to address them then and there, or do you like take time off and then
So it's
discuss?
been a steep learning curve. I think we used to like explode, like have explosive fights maybe once in 6 months, but like
Yeah.
really awful,
Yeah.
nasty,
Yeah.
personal insulting kind of situations,
Yeah.
which then took a long time to get over.
Yeah.
But honestly, we have really just gotten like toned that down, and honestly things have improved so much. I think we've both just become calmer. I for one, I don't know what the others will say, but I certainly have started keeping like my thoughts to myself, and then I go and do some deep breathing or something because I can see that it's not productive.
What have you guys done on your own to reduce the intensity?
I've gone to like a counselor nearby and stuff like that, and spoken to like a professional, right? Like,
Mhm.
and it was a it was actually a birthday gift that somebody gave me, like a good friend of mine gave. He
Oh.
said that, I feel like I know you. You are like me. You are a big bottler, and this just really helped me. Just go for it. Try it out. See if you like it. And the nice thing was that I've always been very open to it because
Mhm.
I have like there's like a history of mental health issues in my family,
Sure.
and I also come from I also come from a family of doctors, so the
Yeah.
idea of looking after your health to see a professional is sort of just there. So
Yeah.
it was very like I was very keen to do it anyway, and somebody gifted me the like 1 hour, and it was great.
And then he sent me also.
I sent her because I said it was so good.
No, but it was
great.
really good for me. I think I have like acute moments when I need to access it,
Yeah.
and I have.
To know that there's somebody available, and when you really feel burdened with stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, just been more regular than me.
but I've also felt that the more I went, the less I need it.
I mean, it's great, right? It's great to be able to just unload sometimes and not have to do it to a friend or to your own partner.
Sure, and I would really recommend it to anybody. Like, for me, it was a huge weight lifted off my shoulder because there were lots of things which I was probably not very happy about in my life, which I was falsely attributing to the relationship, which which was probably somewhere subconsciously coming up in the fights that we were having. It was a huge. It really, for me, from my perspective, it changed the whole the way I saw the relationship.
And we overwhelmingly see us as our and never me and you.
Right. I think it helps that both of you kind of started adulthood together and you've actually
Exactly.
been adults with each other. Like you've only learned to be.
Growing up together means that many of the things that we believe in and that we think evolved together. We learned those things together. We weren't two adults that had diametrically different views that then tried to merge into one sort of unit. So
Obviously, you were very young to even answer this question. But if you could go back and tell your single self one thing about marriage that you didn't know before getting married, what would it be? What would each of you go back and tell your single selves?
We are both marriage lovers.
I mean, for us,
we are like the kind of people who will go around and tell people, no, you must get married. It's amazing.
I don't know, because I don't feel like neither of us were those people who were either scared of marriage or who had this, I don't know, delusional, it's going to be happily ever after kind of thing about marriage. We were very, like, for example, right, like my parents are not together, like they're separate,
divorced.
right?
Mhm.
So I never had this illusion of marriage is beautiful. Nor did I have this fear of marriage. I mean, we got married when we were very young, completely out of choice, right? Like our parents were just kids, do whatever you want.
Like I knew it would take some work, but it's just really hard work, and you have to show up every day. And I think just take every day at a time, and each thing, it doesn't matter at the moment, but the sum total is like a giant wave, and it does matter. I guess just everything you have to be intentional. I think I went into it very naively, and
That's what I think, but that's what made it work.
yeah,
I
that
don't
is
know,
also
like-
true. It did, because there were no preconceived notions.
Yeah.
There was no ego. There was no you, me. It was just like, oh my God, we have to live in this tiny. And our first house, Vicky, was tiny. I honestly, many people might say, oh, do you think you would get married later? Whatever. I don't think so. But I think I just tell myself, like, it's going to be harder than you ever think it is.
Right.
For us, the marriage versus pre-marriage wasn't really very different. There was something that you're not happy about. It's not because of your relationship or your marriage, right? If it's something that you want to do or you're not doing, or something that you are doing which you don't want to do,
Yeah.
it's more of a personal choice, and you can do that, whatever it is, or for people who think that once you get married you can't do certain things, or that's it. And
Yeah, that makes sense. If I had to ask you guys to introduce yourselves as a couple, how would you do it?
Young lawyer couple with an apartment.
Okay, this is not an ad for a threesome, but
That's what, yeah, it sounds like that. She's
Happiest on the road or in the kitchen.
yeah, love to cook together, love to take walks together, love to travel
Yeah.
together.
although I'm actually thinking I should change that question to what would your threesome ad look like? Something for you guys to think about now after the conversation.
Thanks very much.
I must mention that you guys have a very enviable Instagram. Hopefully, there are more Instagram moments that actually don't make to Instagram. But yeah.
One of us has a good Instagram, the other one has 3 posts since 2019.
So clearly, one is the photographer and the other one's the poser.
Thank you. Yes.
Awesome. This is great, guys. Thank you so much for spending time with me and sharing your stories. It was thoroughly entertaining.
Thank you so much, Pinky.
Yeah.
When you've adulted together, you'd think that there'd be no differences at all between two people living under a roof. But speaking with Ramya and Yajas today made me realize that a significant part of who you are actually comes from your own background. If you are able to embrace these differences and rub a little bit of yourself onto each other, you'd make a great team. I learned that if you and your partner share anything that you're deeply interested in together, it helps build foundation for all the work you'll do in growing as a couple. Another important insight from our conversation today was about the role of parents in your relationships and how their support can really encourage you to take the right decisions at critical junctures of your relationships. Last but not the least, I'm so glad they shared their experience with therapy and how it impacted their lives. Most people think that you go to a counselor only if you're on the verge of a separation. But I cannot tell you how misguided that understanding is. Therapy can be an enriching experience and help take your relationship to the next level. I wish Ramya and Yajas the very best, and I hope their marital bliss is contagious. Thank you for listening to Behind the Scenes. These conversations are available on the Marriage Broker Auntie channel on YouTube and Spotify. Please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so you can have access to future episodes as soon as they're out. Please do like and share these conversations with your friends and family. Much has been said about how we meet our partners, but very little about how we build relationships with them. So if you think this conversation could inspire someone you know, don't forget to share this with them. If you'd like to follow us on social media, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter. You can also go to our website marriagebrokerantie.com, Auntie with an IE, to learn more about this project and the work we do.